Hello guys, my name is Samson JEAN-BAPTISTE. Welcome to Teacher Samson JB channel, the best channel to learn English easily. Well, today we're gonna receive a great English speaker where we're gonna talk about a really interesting topic to know how to learn and speak English fluently. Well, a great English speaker needs no introduction. In fact, the floor is going to be given to you to introduce yourself to the folks who are listening and watching this video.
Hello guys, my name is Valentino Jean. I'm a linguist and teacher of foreign languages at State University of Haiti. I am also a student of philosophy and theology. Today we're going to talk about language learning, especially English. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. If you would like to check me out, I have a YouTube channel called Self-Polyglot on YouTube. You can check me out.
Okay, Valentino, so I am so pleased to have you here on this panel where we're going to talk about a really helpful topic. Well, so my first question for you is, how was your first step in English?
Basically, my first step in English was when I was in my childhood. I was basically 12, 13 years old at the time. But after the earthquake, there was a university and a hospital nearby my house, which is called PIT. There was a nurse there. I used to go there 3, 4, or 5 times a week. And there was a nurse, and she gave me a lot of English lessons, especially with pronunciation, intonation, and a lot of things about vocabulary and lexicology in the language. This is where I basically started learning English. I started with a native speaker. Till now, I have the American pitch whenever I'm speaking English. So that was my first step when it comes to English learning.
Well, okay, so the next question is, what would be your advice for someone who starts learning English for the first time?
Well, a lot of people, are very stressed when it comes to learning a foreign language. They're very stressful. There's a lot of depression. They're burnout because learning a foreign language is nothing easy. Nevertheless, it's not that difficult. To learn a foreign language, you have to have determination, motivation, and inner drive in order to learn the language. So I think people need to be open to learn more about the foreign culture and the way people communicate in the language. So I would say that you have to have determination and a lot of motivation and inner drive to learn the language.
Well, all right. So some people have spent about 2 years learning the English language, but until now they can even express themselves effectively in the language. According to your experience, what could be the problem?
There are a lot of factors to people not being able to master a foreign language, to have a good command, especially in that case, the English language. I would say that a lot of people, they spend 1 year, 2 years, even 3 or 4 years learning English, but they don't have a good command of the language. The reason they don't really have the good command of the language, I think, is because that they're concentrating on the exterior world of the language. They go to school, they go to university, and they read a lot of books, but they don't really have an inner drive to learn the language themselves. They're basically waiting for the teachers, the professors, to give them things so that they can improve the language. I would suggest that they have to start building their own habit, their own attitude when it comes to language learning, and then they can just develop that skill and being able to communicate effectively and efficiently in the language.
Well, so that goes without saying that the grammar rules are the key elements which allow people to speak accurately. Well, so what could you tell those who often say that the English grammar is a barrier for them to speak the language easily?
Yeah. Grammar is not a very difficult thing. A lot of people, like when you're learning a foreign language, you tend to believe that grammar is everything, and it's very difficult. According to a lot of research done in Oxford University, Cambridge University, by Professor David Crystal, who's a linguist, and he's the master in the field of linguistics after Noam Chomsky. He said that grammar is the tip of the iceberg. Whenever you're learning a language, grammar is the very obvious thing, evident things that you're going to learn in order to improve the language. But the grammar itself is not what you need, the key element to fluency. You have to learn the language naturally, spontaneously, being able to communicate with native speakers, being able to interact in a very natural way is the best way to learn a language. Not just focusing on grammar, because you can be it could be very, very stressful for you to concentrate on grammar. So I would suggest to begin with communication first.
Well. So you have talked a lot about how to learn English. Right now, what does that mean, fluency?
Well, fluency is a very vague and vivid, nebulous, blurred term. When you're talking about fluency, a lot of people. Let's take for example me. I'm a very scientific person. I believe in facts and a lot of studies done in universities from abroad in Haiti and so forth, and a lot of people in the field of linguistics and language studies and culture. Fluency is a very vague term. When you say fluency, if you take the European framework of language learning, they say to be fluent in the language is to have the B2 level, like to up the upper intermediate level in the language. You're able to communicate in the language, you're able to understand natural when native speakers are interacting. To me, fluency is an ideal. It's not. It's something that it's a game. It's an aim that you have. It's a goal that you have in order to reach it. Nevertheless, you're not going to reach it because it's so vague. And to be fluent in language is a lot of things.
Well. Right now, so how someone can speak English fluently? What can be done exactly?
To speak English fluently, I would just start with my personal experience, right? And then I can take some facts, some data from a lot of people that I've seen and a lot of people that I've coached over the years. To be fluent in English or any language learning, like as a polyglot, a super linguist, a multilinguist, I would suggest to start building a habit of communication, to have a goal of communication, to have a goal to communicate with native speakers, and to have a message and to communicate, to convey that message to the public. It's not not only you have to get a bunch of sentences in your head and you're trying to spit them out, but you have to get a message and then you're going to articulate your thought with words and syntax, phonology, morphology, all these things. You're going to put them all together and then you're going to express yourself in a very natural and efficient way in English. And not only English, but any language learning endeavor.
Well, right now, the last question is, what would be your advice for those who can write, read, and speak English? Nevertheless, they cannot understand native speaker at a natural rhythm.
Like to understand native speakers at a natural rhythm, you have to start building a daily habit of learning the language as a kid, as a child. Remember, like when you were a kid, basically you have a native language. Like you have, if you're Haitian, you have Haitian Creole. If you're American, you have English. Or if you're British, you have English as well. If you're a Spaniard, you have Spanish. Remember the way that you pick up Spanish. You learn it naturally. You pick it up from your mother. Your mother dictated a lot of things to you. The words, vocabulary, all these things come later. And the grammar, especially when you go to school, to go to university, you're gonna have these things. You learn the language in a natural way. And then you don't use grammar in a very academic setting. Use grammar inside the sentences, but you don't study grammar separately from the real world. I would suggest that people needs to incorporate English in their real world and use English to communicate with people and saying things that are important to them, not saying things staying in the bubble of academic study settings. You have to learn the language and use the language in the real world. That would be my advice, to learn the language inside the real world. Not in the laboratory, listening to books, CDs, DVDs, and all these things. Just study the language. You can go to YouTube, you can go to a lot of places. You're going to find a lot of natural, authentic content on YouTube where you're going to be able to express yourself and you're going to learn a lot from a lot of native speakers speaking the language at a natural rhythm. And I would say that you have to incorporate yourself with that. Although from the very beginning, it's going to be a little bit difficult because you're not used to it. And it's just the way it is for every kid. And you have to get used to it because you need to speak the language like the native speaker. Nevertheless, it's important to do that.
Well, so thank you, Valentino. So
Yeah.
you have talked a lot about how to learn and speak English. So I think that the English learners will learn a lot of things about what you have said to them. So I want to let you know that we had with us Valentino, a linguist. So with whom we have talked about how to learn and speak English fluently. Well, but I hope that you will enjoy this video and then you will learn a lot of things about it. Okay, so thanks for watching. But I want you to keep watching these kind of videos and don't forget to follow, to subscribe to this channel not to lose even the least thing that we post. Thank you.
Thank you guys. It was a pleasure for me.
Okay, thanks, Valentino.
All right.
Yeah.